What if I told you the version of history you were taught in school was heavily revised to favor your own nation's agenda while hiding its crimes, and in doing so fostered an unrealistic sense of false patriotism used to manufacture your allegiance to a corporate entity masquerading as your government? Who is the world in debt to? Debt of the world. So the world's in debt, but to whom? National debt by country. Canada, 62.3%, $114.26 billion. Ukraine, 47.2%, 105 trillion. Germany, 62.6%, 179 trillion. Russia, 6.8%, 151.3 billion. Japan, 170.4%, $7.47 trillion. France, 67%, $101.4 trillion. Italy, 103%, $181.89 trillion. USA, 60.8%, $8.68 trillion. India, 78%, $2.55 trillion. Zimbabwe, 241%. Argentina, 51%. There are a total of 5 countries living debt-free: Mako, British Virgin Islands, Brunei, Liechtenstein, and Palau. This leads to a question. CNN just said the world is $40 trillion in debt. Who the fuck does the world owe? Jupiter? Sum this up, the world is in debt. You guessed it, to the banks. Banks generate money from thin air. Let me show you a chaotic example. I have an A4 paper in front of me that is blank. And in my pocket, I have a wallet where there's $100 written on a piece of A4 paper. Then you come to me and ask for a $100 loan. I reach to my wallet, give you the $100 that I had. Then I take a pen and write $100 on that paper in front of me, tear it off and put it back into my wallet. Now I still have 100, but you have to pay me back 100 I gave you and a certain amount of interest. So actually I just made $100 plus the interest. And this is how every bank works. So if the world is in debt to the banks, who owns the banks? The Rockefellers and the Rothschilds have the most influence and money in the world. And they do own basically all the private banks. So there you go. The world is in debt to 2 families. Here's a source. Check it out. The banks collected $30 billion in overdraft fees last year, which means they collected $30 billion from people who have no money.
I mean, you've been around long enough. You know, every prime minister has been in charge, whether it's all across the spectrum. Mr. Trudeau, Mr. Mulroney, Mr. Chrétien. Every prime minister is accused of being a one-man band because the reality, the prime minister is the chief executive officer of our government. The prime minister does not sit in his office and just do things off the top of his head.
I shall be travelling from this northern realm as Queen of Canada.
37 nations from Turtle Island that created Canada. You know, not some. They got their corporate number in July 1st, 1867. The Corporation of Canada. So I mean, they don't have. There's a corporation. A corporation never can have sovereignty. It's a corporation, an artificial entity.
Wow.
Right?
So basically, this is a hidden from history kind of thing when you think about it, that the reason that we celebrate Canada Day July 1st, or a significant thing that happened 1867 July 1st, was Canada became a corporation.
Got its corporate number from
Got its
Washington,
corporate
D.C.
number.
Right. That's why you
Washington.
celebrate Canada Day on July 1st.
Wow.
No other reason.
Wow. So if
People
we're...
don't know that.
Mhm.
The keys to office pass peacefully in our country. Canada is one of the world's oldest, most stable democracies. We are heirs to a tradition of rights and freedoms under the Crown, reaching back almost 800 years.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gatiev, Mr. Duceppe, and Mr. Layton.
Several of my predecessors as leader of the Conservatives, the hanging of Jean Chrétien is long overdue.
Vers the portrait. Messieurs, veuillez ouvrir le rideau pour le dévoilement du portrait.
When you get to the highest levels, you're talking about the former prime ministers of Canada, and you get into four in a row: Trudeau, Mulroney, Chrétien, and Martin. And the one thing that they had in common, the Power Corporation. I guess what was the Power Corporation something that you found in the research that tied everything together?
Well, yeah, I didn't set out to tell the story that I told. Quite honestly, if you look at my book proposal to my publisher in Toronto, it was not the book that turned out, because as I started doing further research on the book, I sort of began connecting some dots, and the Power Corp is one of the big dots, because Power Corporation is a very, it is sort of the kingmaker of Canadian politics for the last 30 years. Making, successive prime ministers worked for them and went to work for them after leaving office. And Power Corporation got a number of deals, especially in its relationships with China, because it's probably one of the biggest players in China, working on the three